Hello, fourth graders. Miss Lockhart here. I am so excited to make this awesome collage with you all about positive and negative space. Now, I am showing you that you can use all kinds of different materials. If you don't have construction paper, you can use a brown paper bag, and then a light colored piece of paper or a white piece of paper would be fine too. Now, I'm cutting out a flat piece from this bag so I don't have the bulkiness of the bag in my way. Okay, so I'll be using this for one of my pieces of paper. It can either be the background page or it could be the smaller piece, and I'll explain that in a moment. So I'm going to use pink and brown. Okay, so I think I'm going to use the pink as my background. And do you see how I just kind of put an X down the middle and the side? I was showing you how small you're going to need your second piece of paper. So my second piece of paper is about 1/4 of the size of the background. And I'm going to leave it in the middle to show you that you're going to need space on either side, because when you cut out your shapes, you're going to flip them over and you'll want space on the background paper so that you can glue them down. You'll see. Just make sure your middle piece is smaller than the outside piece, about 1/4. Now I'm going to be drawing shapes on here. I've done a few triangles, and I'm hoping you all will draw your own cool designs. The trick is you have to draw shapes that connect to the sides of your square or rectangular piece of paper. So you see how all of my shapes, both sides of it, touch the outside of the page. So you can go all the way around the outside perimeter of the paper to create your shapes. Now I'm going with something kind of symmetrical. I'm just having fun. I like triangles. They kind of look like teeth or mountains. You can do any kind of fun shape you want. It can be geometric like those triangles, or organic shapes, which are just swirly shapes. I have an example of an organic shape Notan collage that you'll see in just a moment after we do this. So once you've drawn some fun shapes around the outside, you'll cut them out. Now remember, when you're using scissors, you need to be very careful. I always stay seated when I use scissors, and I definitely recommend you do that as well. Rotate your paper around, and that'll help you get different angles, because sometimes cutting out these shapes can be hard, especially if you drew detailed shapes. You'll see how I rotate my paper often so that it's a little bit easier to control my scissors and where I'm cutting. I rotate the paper around the scissors. The scissors almost stay the same direction the whole time. Well, scissors move a little bit too, but you see what I mean, how I'm rotating the paper. So this will be a good opportunity for you to practice cutting, even though I'm sure you're all very good at cutting. We'll go ahead and carefully cut out those shapes. And don't lose any shapes. If you do, you'll notice it in your final piece, because there will be an empty space where the positive shape should go. So when you look at this, do you see how I have a positive and negative space happening here? The middle brown piece is the positive space, and the pink background is the negative space. And you can see how it looks kind of fun and mirrored and symmetrical. And you can really see the difference. It's a fun collage. It's a fun tactile way to create positive and negative space. You can even do this without doing a collage. You can do a drawing as well, where you have mirrored shapes that are symmetrical, and then you can color it in. So you'll see now, I am lining up the pieces I've cut out, and I'm putting them where they're gonna go. I've only cut out half of my shapes, and I stopped because they were kind of getting messy. So I wanted to stop and kind of rearrange them and see where everything goes, so that way I can keep track of my shapes and not lose anything before I cut out all of them, because some of them are quite similar and I could have a hard time and get them mixed up. So let's just organize. Okay, now I'll cut out the bottom shapes that are on the outside of the paper. And now I know that triangle goes at the bottom for sure, because the other triangles are where they're supposed to go. And I just realized I made a half crescent, so it'll look kind of like a moon when the positive and negative half crescents are put together. I'm excited to see what kind of shapes you all come up with and what kind of design you come up with. It's really fun. And if you make a mistake, just try again. So it's okay if you have your brown paper bag, you don't need to use very much of it. If you make a mistake, try another piece. It's okay. So the different ways you could accidentally make a mistake is if you cut off a piece you didn't mean to. But usually things like that will work out just fine anyways. If you cut off a big chunk that you don't mean to, that's okay because you can glue it down again where you meant it to be. Okay, so I'm trying to lay out everything now. And I needed to flip over my centerpiece because it was going the wrong way. The crescent was going in the opposite direction. You want these little pieces to be mirrored or to be at the exact opposite side in the same direction. So as if they folded out from the inside paper outward, flat. And I have a really fun short little video in a moment where I'm going to show you the organic design, and I'll show you a trick on how to get it in the right direction. Because sometimes it's confusing. You'll be like, how does this triangle go? And a really good trick is to actually put all your pieces back together like a puzzle. I'll show you that demonstration in just a second. And then whenever you undo the puzzle, you'll know what direction because it'll just kind of fold out. Okay, now I am going to add a few more pieces because I have a little bit more of an edge that I can work with. The perimeter or the outside has a little more space. So I'm going to cut into it and create a little bit more detail, which I encourage you to do as well. If you find you have some extra space around the outside of your positive piece of paper, go for it. Try to make it a little bit more elaborate. Add some more details. Okay, so there I just added a few more of those triangles that almost make kind of a diamond shape when you put it next to the negative space where it came from. So it's kind of fun. You see that half of the shape is negative, half of it is positive, and it's symmetrical. And that's the first part of the video. Check out another way to help you line up your shapes. See how I have put them all back together like a puzzle piece or like a puzzle, and then you can pull it out and just directly flip it. Flip, and that's a real nice, easy way to figure out how the shapes go because it is confusing. So it went like that, flip. Do you see how I've done that? Okay, and then we flip it. And these are organic shapes, so they don't have names necessarily. They're just fun, curvy shapes.